Welcome back, guys. We are back here in the studio, if you want to call it that, here in my spare room at my house, ready to talk about race number 3 of the 2024 season with the High Limit Racing Sprint Cars. I am a little bit sick right now. I started getting sick midway through the broadcast on Saturday at Golden Isles. I started having a runny nose and was coughing and things like that, but we're going to be all right. So we're still going to make these videos here this week. So race number 3, there were 26 cars showing up at Golden Isles Speedway there in Brunswick, Georgia. On this night, it was a pairing of the sprint cars along with the 604 late models, and 26 sprint cars showed up there at Golden Isles. Qualifying, it was Brent Marks setting a new track record. It's the first ever 410 race that has been ran at Golden Isles, so Brent Marks sets the track record at a 12.759. Anthony Macri was second. Tyler Courtney ended up third. Parker Price Miller fourth. Brad Sweet, Rico Abreu, Kyle Larson, Justin Peck, Brenham Crouch, and Jacob Allen were the top 10 in qualifying. If a driver's name is in that teal green color, that means they are a full-time driver with the High Limit Sprint Cars. If they are in orange, that means that they are not a full-time driver. They're just showing up there for the weekend. So getting into the heat races, as you'll see on the right here, the right side column, that is where the driver started at in that particular race. The asterisk, the purple asterisk, that is who made it into the dash. So heat race number 1, Parker Price Miller got the win from the pole. Kyle Larson finished in second. Jacob Allen was third. Corey Eliason fourth. Brent Marks ended up fifth. He would go to the dash, followed by Chris Windham, Eric Riggins Jr., and then Connor Morell and Ryan Timms round out the field in heat race number 1. And really, not a whole lot happened throughout this whole night, but this was the big moment all night long, this wreck between Ryan Timms and Connor Morell on the very first lap of heat race number 1. Connor Morell goes into turn number 1, maybe gets in the grease a little bit, I'm not really sure, just kind of way out of the groove, hits the wall, and as you can see right here, Ryan Timms started towards the back of the field there, and as Morell came off the wall flipping, Timms had already set his car off on the top of the racetrack. He gets in him, they both flip. Takes a little bit for Connor Morell to get out of the car, but he was okay. He would race later on in the week. But he would scratch for the night, and so that means that there was no transfers through the heat races. We would start 25 cars in the features, so that's why I don't have a red line indicating where the transfer spot was. So Ryan Timms, he would continue on throughout the night. He would bring down a backup car for the feature. Heat race number 2, Justin Peck would get the win from the outside of the front row, beating Brad Sweet. Anthony Macri would go to the dash with him in third. Cole Macedo was fourth. Austin McCarl fifth. Then Dominic Scelzi, Tanner Thorson, Dylan Norris, and Danny Smith rounded out the field in heat race number 2. Heat 3 was Rico Abreu getting the win. He would go to the dash with Tyler Courtney. Then Spencer Baston, Brenham Crouch, Corey Day, Zeb Wise, Casey Kane, and Davey Franick would round out the field in heat race number 3. So with no B main, no non-qualifier, no C main, this board doesn't have as much stuff on it as compared to what we had for East Bay. So that would lead us going to the dash. Tyler Courtney would get the win. He would start on the pole of the feature, and they would finish where they started at. So Courtney, Peck, Marks, Abreu, Macri, and PPM would round out the field in the dash. So, forgot to mention this as well. You can see this is a new addition to the recap board. I'm going to give each race a score out of 100. And it's not going to be based on just the feature alone. It's going to be based on the entire night. And I'll give a score of how good I thought the race was, how good I thought the night was, and that might be something fun to pay attention to throughout the rest of the season. So getting into the feature, not much happened. It was a green to checkered run. Tyler Courtney led all 25 laps to score the $10,000 win. As you can see, this is also different. In the black writing, I did put how much money each driver got from that finishing position. I did have where they started at on the last one for East Bay. Let me know if you'd rather see where they started at or what they won as far as the winnings go for money. I will adjust that accordingly if anybody doesn't like it or if they want me to change it back. So Tyler Courtney would get the win. Brent Marks would finish in second. Justin Peck, after 2 terrible nights at East Bay, finally has a good night. Finishes up in third. Parker Price Miller, 2 good runs as well, 4th and 6th in the last 2 races for him. Spencer Baston was kind of the first guy I got an asterisk next to here in this one. And Baston went from 10th up to 5th. He was not the hard charger, but he was very close. There was not very much passing in this race, but Spencer Baston was able to make some passes in the CJB Motorsports number 5. A great run and a great weekend for him. Brad Sweet, he's just there. He has not been the best car any night so far with High Limit this year. Has not been in contention for wins. He's battled for a win, I guess, at East Bay because he started on the front row, but fell back a little bit. So Brad Sweet 6th. That's why I got an asterisk next to him. Just does not seem to have the speed that he had at Volusia earlier this year, or really at all in last year. Rico Abreu 7th. He's right there with Brad Sweet. He's just there. He's not challenging for wins. He's not doing anything incredible. He's just hanging around the top 10, not doing anything crazy. Kyle Larson would finish in the 8th position, got an asterisk next to him as well. Brad and Rico, it's kind of the same song, different dance, right? It's a different driver, but the same scenario. They're just there. They're not making any headway. I know the track was really tough to pass on. There was not a lot of passing at Golden Isles on Thursday night. And so that, I think we can attest to what those guys did, how they finished. It was just super hard to get around anybody over at Golden Isles. Corey Eliason got an asterisk next to him. That's the first top 10 finish that he's had in 3 races with High Limit back at East Bay. I want to say he was 19th and 17th in the 2 features there. So it was a terrible start to the year for the Ridge and Sun Racing number 8. But Corey Eliason finally nets a top 10 finish with a 9th. Got an asterisk next to Corey Days. He finished in the 12th position, came into this race tied for the points lead with High Limit with Brad Sweet. And he started 15th, ended up in the 12th spot. So just goes to show how tough it was to pass out there, as Corey Day, who was extremely good at East Bay when it came to passing cars, just could not really get by many guys in this feature. Ryan Timms, as I talked about him earlier, did make it back onto the racetrack after that flip. He would be the hard charger in this race. He started in, I want to say it was 24th or 25th, one of those 2 spots, because there was that final car, Danny Smith, with the wreck of Connor Morrell. We didn't want to have a B main where only 1 car would transfer out of it. So I can't remember if Tim started in 24th or 25th, but he would end up being the hard charger in 17th position after having to go to a backup car. Also got an asterisk next to Tanner Thorson, who came into this week as 5th place driver in the point standings with finishes of 3rd and 11th at East Bay. And what I said during the power rankings video kind of came true here at Golden Isles. I kind of thought going into the year that Tanner Thorson was going to be a threat. He was going to be good when it came to the smaller sized racetracks, but what I was really worried about was him when it came to the big size racetracks, and this weekend kind of proved that point a little bit here as he finishes 19th in this race. And then tomorrow when we go over the 2nd race at Golden Isles, you'll see that he wasn't very prominent in that one either, was not inside the top 10, and finished way down the order as well. So Thorson, and then Dylan Norris, Eric Riggins, Cole Macedo, Davey Franek, Austin McCarl, and Danny Smith would round out the field for that 25-lap feature. Tyler Courtney would take down the $10,000 win, $6,500 for Marks, $4,500 for Peck, $4,000 for Parker Price Miller, and $3,000 for 5th for Spencer Baston. This race, as I said, went green to checkered, and not a whole lot happened. There was a few moments where Justin Peck challenged Tyler Courtney, but Courtney was just super, super good getting through the traffic, was able to work lane 2 and lane 3 when he needed to, and that's really what saved him out there. But I would say he was definitely the best car. The best car won. Maybe Brent Marks was close, but no yellows, so we never really got to see him challenge Tyler Courtney for the victory. So with that, we'll put this race on the scorecard here, and it's going to be out of 100, and like I said earlier, it's based on the entire night of racing, right? The heat races, the dash, and the feature, and really, like I've been mentioning throughout this video, there just wasn't much that happened. It was a really tough night. There wasn't that many 604 late models. There wasn't that many sprint cars. It made it tough for this racetrack to widen out, and it wasn't that good. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the greatest race of all time. I'm not going to BS you guys. It was not a great race, but, green to checkered. I think the race took like 6 minutes to run in the feature, and, a couple of guys had good runs. There was a couple good storylines as well, so... and it was fun to have Brandon Overton and Tim McCready up there along with Devin Moran as part of the broadcast. So that kind of made things a little bit more fun when the on-track racing wasn't the best. So let's jump into the score here. I'm going to give it a 68, a D+ for Golden Isles Speedway. But what I will say is tomorrow in the 2nd recap, that score is going to go way higher. I just think, like I said, with the amount of cars, whether it was the late models or the sprint cars, there just wasn't enough laps on the track to get it to widen out, and it made it super tough. So 68, the crowd wasn't that great. I know that was a big talking point on the broad or on Twitter and things like that. But, in Georgia, that's a late model country. There's not many sprint car fans around that area. There's not many sprint cars at all in that area as well. So I don't know. But Saturday night, when it came down to it, the two big series, the Lucas Oil Series and the High Limit Series, there was a ton of people there. The grandstands were absolutely jam-packed. So Thursday night, it's tough to get people off work and get into the racetrack in a area where it's not really a sprint car area. So that's all we got from Golden Isles Speedway for race number 3, the race recap from Golden Isles. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you tomorrow to recap race number 4, the Saturday night portion from Deuces Wild over there in Brunswick, Georgia. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to comment down below what you thought of the race. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button. I appreciate it very much, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.